Welcome back to the live morning show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet. We're honored to have with us Dr. Kelvin Spragley, who is the Director of Teacher Education at North Carolina Wesleyan University. Dr. Spragley, I could go through your entire bio right here. I simply to say you're an Army veteran, you have worked with the State Association of Educators in a number of positions, and you've been here at North Carolina Wesleyan for a number of years. I just would say thank you for being with us this morning.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Let's get started. Let's take first, do two things. A 30,000-foot view of the education program at North Carolina Wesleyan University and what exactly the Director of Teacher Education does to set the stage for the rest of our conversation.
Well, 30,000 foot view, if you will. We have a number of students who come to us. Probably 60% of them come from one of the 5 counties that touch Nash County.
Really?
Many of them are traditional students. We have people who are working in the schools as teacher assistants who come here to complete their 4-year degree to earn a license in teaching. We also have a number of teachers who come to North Carolina Wesleyan to complete the alternative route or alternate route to teaching referred to as residency. We are a small program. We're not very large, like say in East Carolina. But what I think we offer is a very intimate experience, and our graduates statistically go on to do extremely well when they leave here.
How large is the program?
We right now have about 71 students who list education as their major. We have 40 students who have actually been admitted into the program. And each year we graduate anywhere from 9 to 15 students who are completely licensed. Unlike some institutions, and this is not taking a shot, it's just the way that we are structured, when our students graduate, they actually graduate with their degree and they're fully licensed. They don't have to take any tests or anything along those lines upon graduating.
I would imagine that makes them very appealing to the schools that are looking to fill positions.
It does. We receive phone calls proudly all the time from surrounding systems, near and far, because again, it is important for those folks when they graduate, the only thing they have to focus on is teaching. Yeah.
What a tremendous way for students to get to know the faculty and really with a small program like that be able to work closely with the faculty, develop their own interests, and conversely have the faculty be able to look and I would imagine begin to tailor to the individual some of the things that they can assist them with through their educational journey.
It is one of the things that makes North Carolina Wesleyan University's teacher education program so appealing. We have 3 full-time faculty and we have 9 adjunct faculty.
Wow.
All of our students we know by name, first and last. It is very difficult for a student to fall through the cracks at North Carolina Wesleyan because of that very professional, intimate experience. We know what type of resources they need to help them get over the next hump. Quite often that's dealing with testing. If someone's grade point average falls below where it needs to be, we know how to track those students so that we can have the necessary conversations with them to help them continue matriculating towards their goal. So that small, intimate setting has worked well for a number of students who are successfully teaching in North Carolina and in other states who graduated from North Carolina Wesleyan.
You say that the graduates come out licensed. So is that part, they are licensed before they graduate, so passing the state licensure program is part of their actual curriculum and must do that in order to graduate?
That is correct. Our students, and this is one of the things that makes us a little bit different, we don't allow our students to even go into student teaching until they have passed their licensure test.
I was under the impression that you had to have finished your curriculum before you could take the licensure test. I was mistaken in that?
Yes, and so the students, they always take their test in the semester before they graduate.
Okay.
And so it is important that we make sure that they have gotten the curriculum in or near completion. And we make sure that all of their reading and math tests and any tests that they're going to take, any class they're going to take that deals with the content that they've taken that before taking those tests.
So the student teaching, actually being in the classroom, is the last part of
Exactly.
Yes.
So that when they're student teaching, they're not thinking about, oh, I have to pass my praxis test or my Pearson test.
I see.
And for that, we're very, very proud. We have to draw that line in the sand. And quite frankly, it helps us with our reporting because 100% of our students who graduate are completers.
What is it, keeping along those lines before we get to the other program, what is it today that attracts a young person, a high school sophomore, junior, or senior, to go into education as a career?
Well, I think your question is a good one. I think it has evolved from the time that I started teaching in public schools in 1993. It is definitely a calling.
Yes.
Right now. And I would argue that if a student is going into education right now, it's more of a calling now than it was 20 years ago. Why
is that?
I think the idea of it being a calling, which was always there, but I think when I went into teaching, my wife, who just retired as a teacher last year, and many of her colleagues, I think when we all went into teaching, not only was it a calling, it was also an opportunity to give back. Okay. It was also viewed as a secure retirement. It was also viewed as an opportunity to better yourself professionally and consider other options. I think we thought about more things because while the salary has always been a question, people did get paid for a master's degree. There were certain protections that were in place as it relates to tenure. There were opportunities, the Teaching Fellows Program and others, to help support people who couldn't afford to go into teaching to consider that as an option.
So for the young person today that may hear about this or is looking at universities to go to, wants to be a teacher, has the calling, why would they choose Wesleyan?
North Carolina Wesleyan is an institution that has a small, intimate setting. We have memorandums of understanding, which are agreements with local school systems. So since many of our students come to us who live in the area, they can go and tutor and volunteer in schools in the area. Okay. All of the teachers, the instructors, the professors, we know our students by name. We have funding for most of our students. And for our students, they are going to get that really one-on-one attention that, quite frankly, I don't think they can get at some of the larger institutions, which, being one of the 3 accredited programs on the campus of North Carolina Wesleyan, we have some very high standards that we have to maintain. And if students are going to get through that, that's the coursework, the testing, the portfolio, all of the field placement, they need to make sure that they're at a place with someone who knows not only their academic needs, but their personality needs.
To match the two together.
To match the two together.
And someone who's looking at Wesleyan who says, I think what I really want to do is to teach math to middle schoolers, or I want to teach physics or science, as well as English or whatever. They have the opportunity to specialize in all of those areas to come out accredited as an accredited math teacher or science teacher or something like that.
That they do. Elementary, middle, high school, they can teach math. In middle schools, for the traditional students, they have to be licensed in 2 areas.
Okay.
And so it could be math and science or social studies and English. At the secondary level, one can choose to major in biology, English, social studies, or math.
Yes, sir. Now, there's another program. You also work with individuals who are either already in the classroom or who have already graduated from college and are not, what was not an education degree, who are looking at becoming teachers. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is an alternate route to licensure, referred to as residency.
Tell us a little bit about that, please.
And so the state of North Carolina gives these individuals 3 years to meet certain criteria as long as they have 24 content hours in the area that they want to teach. They have a certain grade point average in their undergraduate degree. And thirdly, and probably most importantly, they already have a contract to teach with a local school system.
So this would, just to make sure our viewers understand, a local school system would have hired someone to come into the classroom. They are there. They do not have a teaching degree. They are not credentialed. But that individual wants to go back and become certified. They have 3 years from the date that they signed the contract to meet those requirements if they qualify with 24 hours, high enough grade point average with their degree that they have in the contract.
That is correct.
How does that work? So you've got those folks in the classroom. Are they doing their work after hours, doing it online, on weekends? How's that work?
It is after hours. Our evening program is 100% online, but for online for us, it's not just, well, do your work and send it back to the instructor. It is synchronous. And so if you've ever participated in a Zoom meeting or team meeting,
Yes.
Our instructors for our teacher education classes, they are on a screen with the students in the class as though they were in an actual classroom. And that takes place Monday through Thursday of each week during the fall and spring semesters and some over the summer.
With people coming in with different backgrounds, meeting the 24-hour minimum and the grade point average, does everyone that start at the same time finish at the same time in terms of they all have to go through the same program to get licensed, no matter, as long as they meet the minimum, then they go through the same? Or are there some people that are further along that can graduate earlier as opposed to, do you understand what I'm asking?
I do. So some people will choose to take more courses than others.
That would be how you do it.
And some people actually transfer in more credits than others that can be applied towards the program. And so in that regards, yes, we can have people who at minimum would need at least 2 years, but some who do have to use all 3 years because it's not just the coursework, it's the licensure test and the portfolio.
Yes. From the standpoint of an existing teacher who has an undergraduate degree but is considering coming back and getting a master's in their program, is that something that North Carolina Wesleyan can help them with?
North Carolina Wesleyan does not offer a master's in education, and quite frankly, the reason that North Carolina Wesleyan and many other institutions, but North Carolina Wesleyan does not do that, is because a number of teachers stopped pursuing that as an option when the state stopped paying for the master's in education.
And quite frankly, Dr. Spragley, that was a mistake by the state to do that. I mean, you never want to disincentivize additional education. So
I would agree.
I would agree with you very much on that. That was a mistake, as was the Teaching Fellows Program, which would really help to disadvantaged areas of the state in terms of bringing teachers in.
I agree.
Our time on these interviews goes so quickly, but as we start to wrap things up, if there is a parent out there or a student who is watching this and says, I'm not sure, maybe this is the path I want to go in, but I'm not sure, how would they go about trying to determine if this is the right path for them, A, as a profession, and B, if Wesleyan is the right place for them to pursue that profession?
I think the very first thing that they should do is to reach out to someone over the summer. Talk to someone from that department or who's affiliated with that department and begin asking the hard questions.
So they could reach out to an existing faculty member current faculty member at North Carolina Wesleyan and say, I'm thinking about this, could I buy you a cup of coffee and just talk a little bit about it?
They can contact me because I am there all summer. Yes, as the director of the program, I am there working all summer, fielding questions, responding to emails, all of that.
And if they decide that this is something they would like to pursue, what is the application process like?
The application process, it is online. So they can go to ncwu.edu and find it, or they can contact me and I can email them the link.
Is it too late for the fall semester?
It is not. It is not. It's actually pretty early in the summer break, and so they can still reach out to us. If a traditional student has not made a decision, they can still apply to enter our institution. And that is the same with teachers who are pursuing the alternate route, residency. It is still very early in the process that they can register for fall classes.
And Dr. Spragley, they can find your contact information by simply going to North Carolina West, the website, and looking up the education program.
That is correct.
If you were to want to leave our viewers with one thought the takeaway from our conversation, what would that be?
That teaching is still an honorable profession, and one could argue that it is still the most important profession, and that all children deserve a highly qualified teacher.
I would agree with that. Kelvin Spragley, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Would like to have you come back perhaps midway through the year just to talk a little bit about, if you could,
Indeed.
the class that's coming in, and also how things are changing in education. To keep those students out there and those parents out there who are thinking about education as a career, keep them abreast of what's going on with that, and especially here at North Carolina Wesleyan.
Would love to do that.
Thank you very much for
Thank
being
you.
with us today.
Thank you.
We're going to step aside right now for our final look at weather and commercial messages. When we come back, Wayne and I will be here to wrap things up. You're watching the live morning show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet. We'll be right back.